to you that what is called football in America is far different from the football, which is controlled by FIFA. Here is the history of American football. But before we continue, kindly subscribe to this channel for more histories. Also like and share. In the heart of American culture, where dreams are born from grit and glory, there exists a sport that transcends the field. A sport that embodies the raw spirit of competition, community, and courage. This is the story of American football, a game not just played but lived by millions. From muddy schoolyards to billion-dollar stadiums, its journey is one of invention, transformation, and inspiration, forged by pioneers, patriots, and underdogs. The origins of American football trace back to the mid-19th century, a time when the United States was still defining itself, politically, economically, and culturally. Early versions of football were chaotic and brutal, a mix between rugby and soccer played on college campuses. There were no pads, no forward passes, and no standardized rules. It was wild, unregulated, and often dangerous. In fact, by the turn of the 20th century, so many players were being injured, or worse, killed, that President Theodore Roosevelt threatened to ban the sport entirely unless it was reformed. It was a turning point. That pressure led to the creation of the Intercollegiate Athletic Association of the United States, which later became the NCAA. New rules were introduced: the line of scrimmage, the down system, and most importantly, the forward pass. These changes transformed the game from a brawl to a strategic, dynamic sport, and it began to spread like wildfire across high schools, colleges, and cities. America had found its game. In 1920, a group of men gathered in a car showroom in Canton, Ohio, and formed the American Professional Football Association, which would soon be renamed the National Football League, NFL. These were men with big dreams, but small resources. Players made mere dollars per game, sometimes playing both offense and defense. The league struggled in its early years, fighting for survival against college football's massive popularity. But it had a spark, something visceral, something enduring. It wasn't until 1958 that the NFL captured the nation's full attention. In what became known as the greatest game ever played, the Baltimore Colts and New York Giants faced off in the NFL championship. It went into sudden death over time, a first in league history. Millions of Americans were glued to their television sets as Johnny Unitas led a legendary drive that ended in victory. The drama, the intensity, the storytelling, it was cinema on grass. And America fell in love. From there, football exploded. The 1960s saw the birth of the AFL, a rival league with its own stars and flair. The competition between the AFL and NFL culminated in the Super Bowl, a championship game that started humbly but soon grew into an American ritual. When the leagues merged in 1970, the NFL became a colossus, a unifying thread that ran through every state, from the frozen lakes of Minnesota to the sun-scorched fields of Texas. The sport began producing icons, larger-than-life figures who represented more than athletic excellence. Players like Jim Brown, who combined brute power with social consciousness, or Joe Namath, the brash quarterback who guaranteed victory and delivered, became household names. In the 1980s and 90s, the NFL gave us legends like Jerry Rice, Lawrence Taylor, and Walter Payton, athletes whose work ethic and courage inspired millions. They weren't just playing a game. They were telling the American story of resilience, teamwork, and rising when life knocks you down. But football's greatness isn't built solely on stars. It's built on community. From the Friday night lights in small-town high schools to college campuses roaring with tens of thousands of fans, football is a heartbeat in countless towns across America. It gives kids from every background a dream to chase. It builds leaders, demands discipline, and teaches sacrifice. It binds families. It shapes heroes. Of course, the game has not been without challenges. Player safety, especially around concussions and long-term brain injuries, has sparked national conversations. The league has faced scrutiny over social issues, including racial justice and player activism. And yet, football endures, not because it's perfect, but because it reflects the country itself, evolving, complex, sometimes flawed, but always striving to be better. Today, football is more than a sport. It's a spectacle, an industry, a cultural pillar. The Super Bowl is the most-watched television event in America year after year. It features not just a game, but iconic performances, groundbreaking commercials, and a week-long celebration of what the sport means to millions. The players are modern gladiators. The coaches are tacticians and motivators. The fans are fervent, loyal, and generational. And underneath it all, at the core of the game, is a story of human spirit. It's the child who throws a ball through a tire, dreaming of Sundays. It's the underdog team that overcomes impossible odds. It's the fourth-quarter comeback, the one-handed catch, the deafening cheer of a crowd united in hope. It's faith through failure, belief through bruises, and triumph born from tenacity. American football is a mirror of our highest aspirations and deepest convictions. It asks us to give everything for something greater, to fall and rise again, to believe in the impossible. And in doing so, it doesn't just entertain, it inspires. This is the story of American football, the game that became a legacy, the legacy that became a legend, and the legend that continues every Sunday to beat in the heart of a nation.